What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, in today's video, we're going to be talking about Black Panther number 11 by John Ridley and Jermaine Peralta. And I'm going to be breaking down how someone T'Challa is supposed to be mourning just came back from the dead. And now that the entire world has been brought down to its knees by this newly returned figure, what will T'Challa do with this newfound power?
You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
Okay, so when last we left off, T'Challa has still been grieving over the loss of what was essentially his best friend, Jai, a guy who we had never really ever heard anything about before because he was a sleeper agent. He was someone who had dedicated his life to T'Challa's plans of Project Kill Switch, which for those who have not been keeping up with any of the recent John Ridley Black Panther run, Project Kill Switch is a sleeper agent program where various and sundry people, Wakandans, are embedded across the entire globe and are ready to act at a moment's notice when T'Challa feels like a certain nation's government has gotten out of line. He has sleeper agents everywhere, not just in America and Africa, but also in the UK and Australia. He has them in Russia, and we also know he had one on Krakoa, that being the mutant Gentle. He has spies embedded everywhere, and when he is ready for them to act, if he feels like something is going on in a country that should not be happening, he can just say, hey, activate, and they will shut everything down. Well, this issue, something very eerily similar to Project Kill Switch comes into play when a group of Quotey Fingers terrorists attack 3 different hubs across the world that are the largest data centers for the internet across the entire world. Now here's the trick. While these so-called terrorists are attacking these data centers, they're not killing anybody. All they're doing is taking over the center and sending everyone home. They don't harm anybody. They don't kill anybody. They don't really even cause much in the way of property damage outside of when they're attacked by vehicles like tanks and planes. They do destroy them, but they make sure not to kill anybody. It's gotten to the point now where even the President of the United States, who is very obviously Joe Biden, even though a lot of times Marvel tries not to depict the president in any way, shape, form, or fashion, they usually try not to draw his face in its entirety, but you can just look from the nose down, clearly tell it's Joe Biden. All that aside, even Joe Biden has to do something about these Quotey Fingers terrorists, but only in the United States. And he asked the Avengers to take on this quest, to take these guys down and return law and order to the world, or at the very least, to the United States. And the Avengers, they try and take these guys down, and each of them gets served, with Captain America going to Japan, Thor going to the UK, and Captain Marvel taking on the facility here on United States soil. All of them get served. And I want to make something incredibly clear here. We are talking about one superhuman versus multiple normal human beings. There are no superheroes or superpowered individuals, no enhanced people among these groups. All they have is technology eerily similar to Wakandan technology. And it's over the course of this issue, it becomes even more evident. These are Wakandans. They're not that dissimilar from the Hatut Zarazi group that we saw before, how we saw that mysterious organization that was going after all of T'Challa's sleeper agents. They act and operate just like them. They use the same fighting techniques, they use the same technology, they use the same communications array as Wakandans. And T'Challa at first thinks that it's Prime Minister Folasade, because Folasade is the only other person other than Akili who knew about Project Kill Switch. I mean, granted, a lot of other people that were in the Senate room when Project Kill Switch was revealed by Akili know what Project Kill Switch is as well, but Folasade had more intimate knowledge of it than most other people because it was shown to her by Akili as well. So yeah, technically she's the only person who would know about this, but it's not Prime Minister Folasade, even though she is eerily absent at the moment. She's very unavailable right now, and for whatever reason, she's just not in the picture. And T'Challa just automatically assumes that it's her. But in reality, it's actually T'Challa's supposedly dead best friend, Jai. Jai is the one who is operating this entire situation. And T'Challa learns this because these Quoty Fingers terrorists ask for T'Challa to come see them. Him and him alone, nobody else, not Captain America, not Captain Marvel, not Thor, not Iron Man, not Echo, not Starbrand, nobody else is allowed to come with him. Not even Shuri is allowed to come with him. And it's here that he discovers that it's Jai. And it makes you wonder because we technically saw Jai killed in John Ridley's Black Panther #1. And since then, we've seen his body like 2 or 3 times. Now, granted, in all 3 of those cases, his body was either A, completely covered up and only the characters in the comic were actually able to see it, or in other cases where we actually did see the body and that body was terribly burned, almost to the point that it was not easy to see exactly who it was. And T'Challa, being under such grief, you would imagine that he just kind of went with what everything was going on despite his analytical mind. But we don't really get any inclination as to how Jai pulled this off. But it's one of those old rules when it comes to like movies, TV shows, spy stuff in general, that if you don't see someone get killed, did they really get killed? I mean, even if there is a body, something could have happened. There is a considerable amount of time between when T'Challa saw the body versus when everything happened. And the way it looks, I'm almost positive that Omolola has no clue that this is even going on. I would even venture to guess she has no idea Jai is actually still alive, because if anyone mourned Jai as much as T'Challa, it would have been her. But in the end, Jai is the one that's behind all this. He is somehow back and alive again, and I'm willing to believe that when they had that little dust up with those guys who lived to die, I'm just gonna say that the Hattusarazi, that's exactly who they were, but when Jai died at the hands of the Hattusarazi, I think it's safe to say he didn't actually die. I think he just was mortally wounded, and because he didn't really have much in the way of clothes on him when he was killed, because most of his suit was destroyed, something tells me he switched bodies with somebody else, at the very least, and just kept himself off the grid. He's a sleeper agent, so if anyone would know how to hide and be off the grid and not be found when they don't want to be, it would probably be him. Now, once again, going back to the whole thing about T'Challa and how did he not notice this? Well, once again, the body was terribly burned and messed up. And while, yes, he could have been like, oh yeah, sure, let's do a DNA test to make sure this is in fact actually Jai, I don't think there's really a reason for him to do that, because he's taking it on good faith that this is his friend. This is someone he cared about, and Omolola is there to assure him on this. So yeah, why would he think otherwise? It's never really even brought up for debate whether or not Jai could or could not be dead before. So the fact that he's showing up now makes things more interesting than anything else, because what he has done is he has enacted Project Kill Switch. It's the exact same program he was a part of. And at the end of the day, Jai is trying to give T'Challa everything that he wants. Since T'Challa lost everything, he lost his best friend Jai, who he now has discovered is alive again. He lost another good friend of his in Achilles, someone who's been a friend and ally to him this entire time. He lost the love of his life, Storm. He's lost the trust of the Dora Milaje. And Shuri, while she still hangs around with him, she's still kicking him in the balls every chance that she can get. And honestly, T'Challa deserves it. But he has been so rudderless and just so down on himself that honestly, he has just not been himself. It's almost painful to witness him going through these things where you can tell as he just stares blankly off into the wild blue that he's not happy with his current lot in life, that he realizes that he's done a lot of terrible things. I don't even say terrible things, it makes it sound like he's a criminal. It's just that he's done a lot of shady things. And now those chickens have come home to roost and he has to deal with it. And he knows he has to. He knows he deserves it. That doesn't make it any easier for him to get through it. And here comes Jai, back from the dead, giving him pretty much everything that Project Kill Switch was supposed to do, taking out entire nations' infrastructure, and pretty much laying it all at the feet of T'Challa as what Project Kill Switch was supposed to do in the event that a government or nation got out of control. What is T'Challa gonna do with this now? Because Jai has taken this power and he's not keeping it for himself. He's literally laying it at T'Challa's feet. He's not here to fight T'Challa. He's not here to challenge him for a throne. He's here to give T'Challa everything he's missing, because as we see throughout this comic, there are multiple times where T'Challa wants to refer to himself as the King of Wakanda, and he can't, because he's not. He's not the king anymore. Wakanda is now a democratic country. They have representatives. He is no longer a ruler of any world, and technically, even though he does still have access to the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. That story arc is largely being ignored by John Ridley, I've noticed. Like, it's still a thing, we still see it pop up from time to time, and technically, he is supposed to be the ruler of that, but he clearly spends most of his time on Earth, so it's just one of those deals where it's like, yeah, he still wants to be the ruler of his Wakanda at home, and he can't have it. So now Jai is giving him an entire world to have and to rule as however T'Challa sees fit. And the one thing I think a lot of people aren't talking about in regards to this revelation, a lot of people are focusing too much on the fact that Jai is alive and not what Jai has said to him when he hands over the keys to the entirety of the world that he has just recently conquered just by simply taking away their internet. What is one of the last things he says to T'Challa before the book closes out? Is that I live to serve you, my king. Now remember, Wakanda is no longer a monarchy, it's a democracy. There are no more kings in Wakanda, and I feel like Jai has done this not just because T'Challa is his friend, his lifelong friend, and they love each other as brothers would love each other, but no, he did this because he doesn't want Wakanda to become a democracy. He wanted to stay the way that it was. He, in his own way, is trying to make a statement that T'Challa deserves to remain king of Wakanda, and if he can't be king of Wakanda, then make him king of everything else. At least that's the way I'm willing to take it, and I'm pretty sure this is the way that Jai intends it. He doesn't want to go back to a Wakanda that's a democracy. He wants to fight back against that. He wants things to go back to the way they were. Every last single one of these people we see working alongside Jai are all loyal to the crown, and by crown, they mean T'Challa. T'Challa was the one who they have served since day one, and that is what they want to go back to. They didn't sacrifice their freedoms and living normal lives just to come back to a Wakanda that looks alien to them. This is the new conflict now that the democracy has been finally put in place. Now it's the fight to get it back, but from whose side? T'Challa clearly did enjoy things the way they were, and while he's happy that the people are happy that they have a democracy, I'm pretty sure he's conflicted about which way he wants that to go, and Jai is here as an agent of temptation to cause T'Challa to waver on his original pledge to allow the people to govern themselves. Now, I think this is going to ultimately backfire because I'm thinking right now T'Challa doesn't want this. I mean, yeah, he might toy with it for a moment, that he might allow this farce, this mummer's farce, to go on for just a little bit longer just to make himself feel just a teensy-weensy bit better. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's gonna just let this stand. I mean, granted, he doesn't disagree with their tactics, and at the same time, he doesn't not agree with them either. At various points, Steve Rogers is telling him that, hey, these guys are doing this thing, and it's, you know, causing chaos across the world, and T'Challa just kind of like, but they haven't hurt anybody. And while yes, they're forcing peace onto people, because that is the entire mission statement of Project Kill Switch, is that for all people to live peacefully, otherwise they will use force, and that's the only time they actually use it. These guys could have just as easily had killed Thor, Captain Marvel, and Captain America if they probably wanted to, but they didn't. We see the point Cap throws a shield at one of them, and that person has a vibranium device in their arm that allows them to catch the shield and throw it right back at Cap with just the same, if not greater force than Cap threw it himself. And they also have tech that completely nullify Captain Marvel's ability to absorb energy and Thor's ability to control and disperse lightning. If these guys wanted to take them out, they could have done it, and they could have done so much worse across the globe, and yet here we are, and they're not doing it. T'Challa honestly kind of admires it. You can tell he does. He just doesn't want to say it out loud. But in the end, now that he has control of this, now that Jai is laying Project Kill Switch at T'Challa's feet, is he gonna actually do anything with this? Is he gonna try to be the thing that he had technically plotted to become at some point? Because once again, Project Kill Switch was his plan. Is he going to actually use it? We also can't forget that it was teased in Black Panther #1 that Black Panther and Steve Rogers are going to wind up having a little mini civil war between themselves. There's going to be tension between Black Panther and Captain America, and of course, we know the next issue. This is the issue that, you know, kind of blew up on Twitter, Twitter where Black Panther was walking away from the Avengers. So I think we got a rough idea of where Black Panther's head is at regarding this situation. But more importantly, I'm very curious to see how Omolola is going to handle any of this. And I don't think she's involved in this at all, but it looks like all of the various and sundry sleeper agents, the ones that still wanted to do the work, they are involved. We know there's some that didn't want to leave. We saw this over the course of some of the first few issues of Black Panther, where there were some people who just didn't want to end the sleeper agent program for various reasons. Some people felt like their time was wasted if they're just going to give it up like this. There were some people who lived for the sleeper agent program, and then there were others who couldn't be more pleased to get back home, and other folks had started families and things like that. But yet, there are some people who are in for a penny, in for a pound on this, and they are ready to go to work. Now, ultimately, I think this is going to turn Jai into yet another Black Panther villain, because that's kind of how this thing works. It's the people who are closest to you that hurt you the most, and I feel like Jai is gonna wind up becoming the bad guy in this, because T'Challa's gonna have to do something about him, and Jai is just doing this because this is his best friend. He wants to do right by his friend, and yet T'Challa is gonna have to face off with this cat. But anyways, that's everything I want to talk about with Black Panther number 11. I keep saying it over and over again. I love this series. It's only really committed one thing to the page that I have not cared for, and that's the dissolution yet again of Storm and Black Panther. But everything else aside, I have still been enjoying the series. There's definitely some crazy stuff that's going on in it, and this is just yet another crazy thing. But the idea of Jai being back, something that had motivated T'Challa to go on this new journey that he has started, and it's all starting to come back to bite him, that even with all his secrets out in the open now, there are still some things that he doesn't know about yet, and he's learning them as they go along. I am curious to know where Prime Minister Folasade is. I don't think she has anything to do with any of this, because I feel like they've already kind of hinted that she was involved with the previous group. I don't think that's going to be the case again. I think she's legitimately just out and about, but I can't wait to see how Tosin is going to play into this. He who is now calling himself the Wakandan. It's his superhero name, supposedly, I guess. But yeah, he is going to get involved in this at some point too, I imagine. And who knows? It's kind of hinted that Tosin and Black Panther are going to have a lot of beef with each other coming up soon, because Tosin has already made it very clear he doesn't like T'Challa. He, in fact, hates him. But I'm curious to see where this all goes next, and I want to see more of Shuri just kind of putting her foot to T'Challa's ass to get him out of that rut, to make him stop feeling sorry for himself. And anyways, if you haven't been keeping up with Black Panther by John Ridley, check out this playlist right here so you can learn more about it and get caught up. In the meantime, let me know what you thought about Black Panther number 11. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.